Hello and welcome to a Stampscapes Show-and-Tell. I just came across a Stampscapes catalog number 5, and I'm guessing that this is roughly from around 2002, 2003 or so. So roughly 20 years ago. And I think this was the last printed catalog that we came up with. You don't. A lot of companies just don't do printed catalogs anymore. It costs quite a bit to have a big run of catalogs made. And back then, 20 years ago, there were a lot of stores around, and they pretty much ordered out of catalogs back in those days. The internet ordering and such. I mean, it was around in the maybe around that time, but that was still very early on with the internet and doing things like online purchasing and whatnot. So catalogs, hard copy types of items were still the thing. A lot of publications were out there, Rubber Stamp Madness, Rubber Stamper Magazine, etc. And you'd get the information for a lot of companies through those types of publications. And, you'd usually put in those ads something like, send, $2 or something like that for a catalog number, whatever, okay? This is my catalog number 5. Stampscapes images are fairly large, a lot of them. So I used to make my catalogs landscape. It was just the way to do it. A lot of them are, horizontal. A lot of them were 4.5 inches across, roughly 4.25, but the blocks are 4.5. So that being said, the 8.5 by 11 format to showcase a lot of different stamps, not ideal, so I did it in this landscape format. I think we had 2 or 3 catalogs that were officially printed by a printer. And the early catalogs I just had run off at like Kinko's Copies, with it might have been a double staple. I'm not sure if they were able to do that in-house or not. But anyways, my last one here. So there's a lot of different text on these catalogs. This one wasn't quite as creative because we were starting to get more and more images. And I used to kind of have them spread out in some of my earlier catalogs, or a couple of my earlier catalogs. And I'd have these little images interspersed between different types of kind of layouts. And that was really fun to do. I don't know how organized it was for the stamper, but stampers back then, they'd spend a lot of time with their catalogs and such. So it was either do it kind of really straightforward like this by size, or to put them in scenes. And since Stampscapes and landscape stamping, I mean, it was, and I guess still is, a niche within, a niche hobby of rubber stamping in general. It was good to see these little objects kind of in a location within a given arrangement. To kind of get the idea of where to place your different little subject matters and things like that within a scene. You know what I mean? Do you stamp it up high or low or whatever? So I do layouts like that in earlier catalogs. But I felt that people were, there were a lot of people doing landscape stamping by this point in time. And, we had a pretty established customer base. So I felt I would just keep things organized for them and do things roughly by size. Now, I couldn't always do that because we had some larger stamps that just wouldn't fit into this format. But little layouts like this, I'm trying to remember of what I laid this whole catalog out in, but I remember doing all these little kind of reversed out text little things. I had taken a lettering and typography class in college, so it was, a chance for me to kind of exercise my little design, I don't know, whatever design training that I had. And I remember coming across this font that I used in here that I really liked at one point in time. I'm trying to remember what it was, but I really liked it. It has this little serif, and it's a really clean stamp. But in little areas, you know, here and there, there was room that I could put text. So these little blurbs, kind of describing some of the little usages of stamps and whatnot, are on the website. There's blurbs in these stamp modules that include probably a lot of this little text in here. So if you go to stampscapes.com and go into stamps, and you can do your search by sizes, names, whatever you want, codes, and if you click on that, there'll be a little bit of a description for the image, how it can be used, if it's like the smaller size of a larger design or something like that, or just, you know, kind of my thoughts on the image in general. Here's the Reed's 068D, which has always been one of my favorites. It says, one of my favorite stamps. I often use the stamp on the bottom of my scenes to finish off the scene with depth. The design is bold enough to make a strong statement of depth while being light and graceful enough to not overpower the scene. Okay, so little things like that. You know, so it can give people an idea of, you know, usages and my thoughts on it in terms of, you know, the concept of it. So going through the C stamps right here, this is moving into the D's, and you can see my, you know, the text filler areas, the little blurbs start to change as you move through here. Now, the idea of this little show and tell isn't to show every little thing and go across every little blurb here, but just kind of an overview here. I do have one of the older catalogs in a PDF form on the website. It's not really, you know, as a catalog, but it's just, I don't know, kind of a low resolution, kind of I don't know, whatever visual of that catalog's layout. But in this one right here, I remember I was doing a lot of reversed out types of text on those older ones, but I just kept this one fairly straightforward. The tonal applicators right here used to have a lot of kind of description of those types of images. Nowadays, I just have videos of how to use them now. Any of the designs really. If it were something kind of, you know, that was more conceptual, you know, and you weren't able to really tell what it was just by looking at it, you know, I don't know, it required like a whole paragraph where I can really show someone how to use it on the, you know, this YouTube channel in 30 seconds or something like that. We're just going along here. This is how I kind of figured out roughly when this catalog was. I mean, I just looked for some of the older stamps within each section, you know, number 244E here, 249, 250, 267. I think that was around the early 2000s there. So getting pretty large here. This is ending the E size stamps, going into the F size stamps right here. Here's a couple stamps that I just used yesterday in the Halloween scene, going back to some of the earliest releases here. But when you start moving up into these larger designs like this, you know, there was a lot of space for these little blurb fillers like that. And it was kind of fun for me to, you know, to write these little blurbs in here. If someone's a good writer, they probably read through this and just cringed at probably all of my typos and grammatical, you know, errors throughout. I don't think I did any proofreading or had anyone proofread these catalogs. I'd read them a couple times myself, but, you know, you really can't do that. Proofreading, you have to have, you know, an objective eye go into it, but a lot of times I had to get these things done, so I don't know. A lot of, I'm sure, mistakes throughout. These are the 1997 stamps, I think, right here in the 140s and such. And these 6 stamps here were always so popular. Cabin with Fens, Lakeside Cabin, The Pass, and the Waterside Bluffs left and right. Going up in here, this release right here in the 205s, the Oh, the babbling brook, the brook falls and such, the brookside boulders here, boulders with lichen. I did this kind of textural kind of release where things were much more, oh, I don't know, I guess naturally textured and whatnot, trying that out in a lot of the images. Those are some of my favorite designs. And I don't know, going into some other areas in here, the Oak Row and Oaks and Mist, I need to use those a little bit more. Maple Brook, I should use this one right here. I've been doing these autumn scenes lately, and the Maple Brook would be a fantastic one. This would be a really fantastic one for a mirror scene, too. Waterfalls, okay. Some larger stamps right here. And this is where the horizontal format, the landscape format of this really comes into play. So it was just kind of trying to find ways to group things together. And here I'd put a little salmon there, you know, kind of representing a swimming upstream or something like that, and pairing the Aurora Borealis with the cloud cumulus large here. I don't know, Lakeside Cove and Lakeside Reflections, kind of this pairing here of sibling designs right here. This one, over the years, and even back then, one of my favorite designs. Still use it all the time these days. There's my buck here. But little blurbs for each one of these like this. There's just fun times. I don't know how I wrote all that stuff. You kind of have to get in the mindset of doing it. Tropical. Skies, the cloud with sun large, and cloud with moon large. Tropics like this, I always liked using the island mountain large with the fountain of light like that. There's crepuscular rays. Go into a little bit of description there. Just, you know, like I said, filling in with some little imagery around the text and the imagery on these pages, just to fill it in. And the cracked earth, and the rocky side left and right. I think I might have used the Seaside Cove in here in a previous catalog, but I just use these ones in here. I should use these in this type of format right here with this little cracked earth in here. The cracked earth, everyone thinks desert, and rightfully so, but that cracked earth like that, and that kind of, I don't know, that dried up, almost like clay type of surface like that, it's really reminiscent of kind of seasonal wetlands and whatnot. You know, you get these, what do you call it? Is it a vernal pool? You know, one of those yearly types of areas that dries up and looks like that, you know. It could be used as a desert. I use it more as a desert myself. But anyway, moving on here, the oak branch was one of my favorite designs for many years in there. Just used the watermill recently in a purple tree scene, which is kind of fun. Here's those waterfalls and that really highly textured type of surfaces within those rock forms like that. More sky imagery, getting kind of more, oh, I wouldn't say it's abstract. It's like a mackerel sky. They call it altocumulus skies like this. This one's done, you know, in this catalog in black, but you can stamp this out on a light blue, and it just becomes kind of a very light texture in your skies that you can put a little bit of extra tone in. You can bring in some pinks or something like that. It looks like a, you know, a churning or you know, I don't know, sunset or sunrise type of scenario. Very calm and whatnot. But like I said, you can do it in dark too and make it a lot more contrasty. Here's the sun wavy rays. If you stamp this one like that and then you flip it around, ink it up again and stamp it down here, this sun becomes a rounded one and a full kind of sun statement like that, okay? So that's how that's designed there, to be used both ways. You can have it coming down from the top, but it's more stylized to give you much more of a whimsical looking feel. The autumn banks left and right, still love using these things. The autumn brook and these latest pieces with a lot of, oh, here's my purple trees with that mill there, but done on pearl paper. So like I said, always enjoying doing these types of I don't know, color scenarios. And these days there's so much more media out there and tools for this type of, like deciduous type of foliage. You can just do so much more. I've had these designs for many years, and I've used them over the years, but I'm using them a lot more these days because there's the media out there that is really the media that I had been waiting for all along to really bring these types of images to life. I like kind of a shimmery texture for my fall foliage, like they're reflecting a lot of light, so the paint pens are really perfect for that. They had gel pens a little bit over the years, but, everyone knows that those early forms of gel pens and such weren't that great of a quality. Here's the Quaking Aspen right there. Speaking of paint pens and doing things in a very kind of I don't know, three-dimensional way by layering your paints on these types of images. I really love it. So I'm using kind of these deciduous trees more these days than I ever have with the acquisition of this media. Maybe the largest art rubber stamp of all time, I don't know, the Seaside Co. 139H, the big one. So, fun stuff. Couple, have people walking out to shore. I usually put them kind of within the waves, like they're kind of waiting out there, not committing suicide or something like that, but just out there having fun, splashing in the water. Here's these little running kids there. That would be great for Halloween, too. Looks like they're kind of spooked, maybe. But have them running out towards the, in the sand, towards the ocean and whatnot. But you can make this a seaside type of thing. It could be a lake, too. And there's my cloud cumulus, maybe the stamp that I've used the most over the years. But anyways, oh, yep, this is Beverly Boulevard. That was when I was in Whittier, and that was around the 2002. I got this at, I'm trying to remember the name of that chain print house, but, I used to hate working with printers. They'd always, I don't know, switch things up on you. Order one time, and it's a certain price. You got to pay for the plates, and then the next time you order, it's like, how much would it cost me for a second run? Oh, it's double the price, because they have you, because you had to pay for all the plates to be made, so I always found that really irritating. But anyway, Stampscapes, Techniques, Gallery, here's my thanks, big thanks here to everyone that helped out, over the years. I think that's still on the website somewhere, and maybe in the information section or something like that, but catalog number 5. Going back in some time now, a couple decades at this point in time. Pretty crazy. Alright, anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And, yeah, this is pretty old right here. These staples are completely rusted out right here. Found this out in my garage. I used to like keeping at least kind of one copy of each of those catalogs, so I don't know, a little bit of history there. Okay, thanks again for watching.